Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Weekly Wildlife Wisdom. So far, I've been your host, Zero Yeti, and let's get into it with the first animal week being Echina aracinus parma, better known as the common sand dollar. It is a species of sand dollar native to the North Pacific and Northwest Atlantic Oceans. It inhabits sandy bottom areas below the low tide level down to a depth of 5,000 feet, around 1,500 meters. The spines on the somewhat flattened top side and underside of the animal allow it to burrow or creep through the sediment while searching for food, such as algae, detritus, carrion, and other organic matter. They also burrow to hide from predators such as certain fish, eels, and sea stars. Reaching around 2 to 4 inches or 5 to 10 centimeters in diameter when fully grown, common sand dollars sport a round, flat, disc-like internal shell which has many small perforations that form a symmetrical petal-like design. These shells are covered in turn with a velvety-like skin which ranges from gray to tan to maroon to purplish in color, and is in turn covered by many small brown spines that enable the animal to move about. Fine hair-like cilia cover the tiny spines on the underside of the animal. These cilia, in combination with the mucus coating, move food to the mouth opening, which is in the center of the star-shaped grooves on the underside of the animal. As with most echinoids, gametes release into the water column and go through external fertilization. The neotenic larvae metamorphose through several stages before their shell begins to form, at which point they become benthic. Common sand dollars are also capable of asexual cloning, but only as larvae. Under ideal conditions, a common sand dollar may live up to 10 years. Next up is Mustela nigripus, better known as the black-footed ferret, the American polecat or prairie dog hunter. It is a species of mustelid native to central North America. Once found throughout the majority of the Great Plains from northern Mexico to southern Canada, where they inhabited short and mixed grass prairies, scrublands, and steppe grasslands. The species declined throughout the 20th century, primarily as a result of decreases in prairie dog populations, heavy fur trapping, and the sylvatic plague, to the point the species was declared extinct in 1979, but a residual wild population was discovered in Metisy, Wyoming in 1981. The captive breeding program launched by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service resulted in its reintroduction into 8 western U.S. states, Canada, and Mexico. Parts of Canada and Mexico. From 1991 to 2009, and as of 2015, over 200 mature individuals are in the wild across 18 populations, with 4 self-sustaining populations occurring in South Dakota, Arizona, and Wyoming. Additionally, there is also confirms that a self-sustaining population may exist in Colorado as well. Black-footed ferrets are nocturnal and solitary animals which typically only group up to breed and raise their young. They are carnivores which almost exclusively prey upon prairie dogs, as well as occasionally mice, voles, rabbits, hares, squirrels, pocket gophers, and small birds. Black-footed ferrets are themselves preyed upon by eagles, hawks, falcons, owls, badgers, coyotes, bobcats, and large snakes. Although capable of digging their own burrows, black-footed ferrets usually nest in abandoned prairie dog burrows. Reach around 19 to 24 inches or 48.3 to 61 centimeters in length, and around 1.4 to 2.5 pounds or 0.64 to 1.13 kilograms in weight. The black-footed ferret has a long, slender body with black outlines on its paws, ears, and parts of its face and its tail. The forehead is arched and broad, and the muzzle is short. Breeding occurs in March and April, and after a 41-day pregnancy, a mother black-footed ferret will give birth to 1 to 9 kits. The kits are born blind and helpless, and the female cares for the young by herself. Kits remain underground in their burrow for 2 months, at which point the mother moves the kits to a new burrow and begins to teach hunting and survival skills. Under ideal conditions, a black-footed ferret will become independent around 5 months of age and reach sexual maturity around 1 year of age and live up to 5 years. Next up is Triturus dobrogeicus, better known as the Danube-crested newt or Danube newt, is a species of newt found in Central and Eastern Europe along the basin of the Danube River and some of its tributaries in the Dnieper Delta. They feed primarily upon various invertebrates as well as the occasional small fish or tadpole. They are themselves preyed upon by herons and other wading birds, snakes, large predatory fish, and various mammals. Reaching just 5.1 to 7.1 inches or 13 to 18 centimeters in length, the Danube crested newt is the smallest crested newt species. It has a more slender, elongated, and better swimming adapted body than other species, with a narrow head and relatively short limbs. The Danube crested newt's back and sides are dark brown with black spots and white stippling. The belly is orange to red, with small or medium-sized black blotches that have sharp edges. Like all crested newts, T. dobrogeicus males develop a crest on their back and tail during the breeding phase, which can be quite high, jagged, and usually starts between the eyes and the nostrils, and is interrupted at the tail base. Males typically have a bluish-white stripe along the back, whilst females have a yellow stripe. For half of the year or longer, typically February to August, adults live in slow-moving river margins, lakes, or ponds, where reproduction takes place. Males perform a courtship display, and females lay around 200 eggs individually on the leaves of aquatic plants. The larvae develop for 2 to 4 months in the water before reaching metamorphosis. For the remainder of the year, the newts live in moist, shady land habitats, such as deciduous forests, meadows, and shrublands. Under ideal conditions, the Danube crested newt may live upwards of 15 years. Porphyromelanotus, better known as the puecoco or Australasian swamp hen, is a striking and socially complex bird endemic to New Zealand, Australia, New Guinea, and several Indonesian islands, such as the Moluccas, Aru, and Kai Islands. Puecoco inhabit swamps, marshes, estuaries, ponds, riversides, and pasture land. Their large feet allow them to traverse swampy terrain without sinking, and while not webbed, they provide enough propulsion for swimming. Additionally, they are known for their speed, making them swift runners across diverse habitats. Puecoco are opportunistic omnivores, which feed upon stems, shoots, roots, leaves, seeds, fruits, various invertebrates, eggs, small lizards, frogs, and the hatchlings of various birds and other reptiles, particularly waterfowl. Reach around 15 to 20 inches or 38 to 51 centimeters tall, Puecoco display phenotypic characterization typical of rails, with relatively short wings and strong elongated bills. They have a large bright red bill with an expanded frontal shield that extends from the culmen. As for plumage, they sport black upperparts with a purple throat and breast. They are rather clumsy flyers, which tend to run from danger instead of flying. Puecoco exhibit complex polyandrous mating systems wherein both sexes breed with multiple other partners, living in flocks of 3 to 12 birds, which typically all mate with one another. Breeding may occur from August to February, during which time the flocks build 1 or 2 large nests where all the females lay their eggs communally, each hen laying around 4 to 6 eggs, which are then incubated and shipped by the males for around 23 to 27 days. The chicks begin leaving the nest 4 to 5 days after hatching, but are raised communally by the flock until reaching independence at around 2 months of age. Afterwards, some young may remain with the flock for several years. Under ideal conditions, the Poikoko may reach sexual maturity around 2 years of age and live upwards of 9 years. Next up, we have Xiphonus cavirostris, better known as Cuvier's beaked whale, the goose-beaked whale, or simply Xiphonus. It is the most widely distributed species of beaked whale, being found throughout much of the world's oceans and seas, with the notable exception of the Arctic and Antarctic oceans. Although occasionally found closer to shore, Cuvier's beaked whales are usually found dwelling in the pelagic zone of the deep open ocean. Cuvier's beaked whales live in small pods of 15 or less individuals, with bull males occasionally being solitary. They are the world's deepest diving mammal, regularly diving upwards of 2,624 feet, or around 800 meters, for anywhere from 15 minutes to upwards of 3 hours at a time, with one individual swimming 9,816 feet, or 2,992 meters below the surface of the water for several hours. Like the similarly deep-diving sperm whales, Cuvier's beaked whales have evolved modifications to their cardiovascular, metabolic, nervous, and respiratory systems, along with other adaptations which enables them to make such deep dives beyond the predicted aerobic capacity. I'm stumbling over my words, apologies. Curiously, when near the surface, Cuvier's beaked whales are near completely silent, likely to avoid their main predators of orcas and great white sharks. They only start using their echolocation below 654 feet or 200 meters to search for food such as fish, crustaceans, starfish, and in particular, cephalopods. Reaching around 16.5 to 23 feet or 5 to 7 meters in length and around 4,000 to 8,000 pounds or 907 to 3,630 kilograms in weight, the body of Cuvier's beaked whale is robust and cigar-shaped, similar to those of other beaked whales. Males are typically dark gray in color with light gray or white heads, whilst most females are more brownish gray with a more dark gray or red head. However, around one-third of females sport the male typical coloration. Males also develop two tusks, right and left corners of the lower jaw, which they use to duel with other males and ward off predators like orcas. Breeding habits are unknown, but females give birth to a single calf. Under ideal conditions, a Cuvier's beaked whale reaches sexual maturity around 7 to 11 years old and live upwards of 40. And next up we have Synicus synicus, also more commonly known as the sandfish skink, the common sandfish, the Algerian sandfish, or the common skink. It is a species of lizard endemic to the extensive belt of desert ranging from the west coast of Africa through the Sahara and into the Arabian Peninsula. They get their common name from their ability to swim through the sand like a fish through water. In fact, sandfish skinks spend most of their time burrowed under the desert sand, only emerging to eat, excrete waste, and reproduce. Sandfish skinks are insectivores which utilize vibrations along the surface of the sand to detect prey. Reaching around 6 to 8 inches or 15 to 20 centimeters in length, sandfish skinks possess long, wedge-shaped snout and countersunk lower jaw, which is shaped like a basket. Its compact, tapered body is covered in smooth, tiny scales that may appear oily to the untrained eye. Its legs are short and sturdy with long, flattening, fringe-like shovel-like feet. The tail is short, tapering to a fine point. The coloration of the species is considered attractive, being yellow caramel with brownish-black crossbands. The lizard has bead-like eyes that can close to keep sand out of them. Similarly, its nostrils are very small to keep the sand out of its nose and lungs. Mating occurs from May to July, usually after it rains. After mating, the mother skink will lay eggs in a burrow in the sand. After a 3-month incubation period, the eggs hatch, and the reproduction of the sandfish skink may have up to 10 years. And our extinct animal of the week is Leptictidium. It is an extinct genus of small, likely bipedal mammals, which lived throughout Europe during the Eocene epoch, some 50 to 35 million years ago. The first remains of Leptictidium, consisting of a series of lower jaws, were recovered from the lutein faunal stage of the Messel pit in Germany by Heinz Tauben in 1962. Tauben named the animal Leptictidium auderiense in reference to the Roman settlement of Auderiense. Tauben also discovered a small skeleton, which he defined as a paratype of the species. But Storch and Lister proved in 1985 that, in fact, the skeleton did not even belong to the genus Leptictidium. Since then, dozens of specimens, including several nearly complete skeletons, have been recovered from throughout Europe, and today 8 species are considered valid. L. adoris, L. nauseatum, L. taubenii, L. ginsbergi, L. sigil, L. listeri, L. proti, and L. storchi, varying between 24 and 35 inches long, or 80 to 90 centimeters in length, and around 6 to 8 inches, or 15.2 to 20.3 centimeters tall, and around 2.2 to 8.8 pounds, or 1 to 4 kilograms in weight. These small bipedal trucked animals resemble today's bilbies, bandicoots, and elephant shrews, but occupied a similar niche. Lepticidium and other leptictidians are not placentals, but are non-placental eutherians. They are especially interested in the combination of characteristics typical of our primitive eutherians, who sought highly specialized adaptations, such as powerful hind legs and a long tail which aid in locomotion. Lepticidium were omnivores, with their diet being a combination of fruit, seeds, nuts, insects, lizards, amphibians, and small mammals. As always, take care to my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Hope you all have a wonderful day.